Hello, and welcome to my review of the third studio album by British singer-songwriter Birdy. Her real name is Jasmine van den Bogaard. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I kind of see why she decided to go by the shorter name of Birdy. Apparently, this singer was given that name as a nickname as a kid because she would sing like a bird. I think her parents affectionately kind of gave her that name, and it stuck as her stage name. She's a younger artist, kind of up and coming, but she already has two albums under her belt as she releases this album, Beautiful Lies, which was released on March 26th of 2016. This was the album that introduced me to Birdy. I'd never heard of her before until I happened to stumble upon the lead single on this album, Keeping Your Head Up, and I got instantly intrigued. She released a first album back in 2012 that was, I think, almost entirely covers and not original material. She did a cover of Bon Iver's Skinny Love, and that got her a lot of recognition. She did grow up in a very wealthy kind of nobility type family. One of her grandfathers is a baron, so she comes from sort of a higher sort of lineage, but she also has a mother who's a concert pianist, and she learned to play piano at the very young age of around 7 or 8. So she was always composing and writing her own music. So her cover of Skinny Love gave her a lot of recognition, and then she released in 2013 an album that was part new songs that she recorded her own and wrote herself, part songs that were also covers. So then we come to Beautiful Lies, which is her first studio album that is entirely composed of original songs, which she helped co-write every single one. In fact, two of the songs she's given production credits on the two lead singles that were from this album, Keeping Your Head Up and the title track, Beautiful Lies. So she's trying to kind of slowly expand and come. At this point, she releases the album just around at 20 years old. So she's really starting to make a statement and sort of moving up the ranks. And this album garnered a lot more attention and critical acclaim. This is definitely a good progression for her. I was instantly intrigued by just the album cover in itself. This beautiful, dramatic red, what looks like a kimono or some sort of geisha attire against this bleak, melancholic blue background in the middle of a field. There's something so dramatic and classical about this imagery, and I think that carries through beautifully into the soundscape that we'll find on this record. This is a beautifully crafted and detailed album that is so bittersweet and full of emotion. I was really surprised. When I heard Keeping Your Head Up, the lead single, I thought maybe she was a little bit more in just pure pop territory, but this kind of takes her more into the realms of likes of Lana Del Rey or Lorde or Florence and the Machine or Ingrid Michaelson, when she did more of her just piano acoustic stuff. This album has so much heart and soul to it that's not in any sort of way commercial. Even when she does go pop, it doesn't feel too forced or over the top. It's experimental and unique. And there's always a bit of flavor of classical inspired composition to all of these songs. And one in particular, which was one of my absolute favorites. Let's go right into this. The title track, Growing Pains. It starts out with a very Eastern sound. This song is inspired by Japan. Birdy has cited the Japanese music and culture was a huge inspiration in crafting this album. She was also, I think, inspired by, the geisha attire, the beautiful lies of beauty masked by, this facade of exterior beauty hiding what's actually truly beautiful within. I get that a lot carried through on this album. Growing Pains is a coming-of-age song that addresses in a relationship where people are suddenly growing up really fast, and maybe life has suddenly put them in this very difficult situation, and now they're not exactly sure how their communication or their chemistry is affected by the different states of emotion that these two individuals are coming from. Are you there? Tell me, are you there? I fear these growing pains that have made us far too strong. Do change if you want to change. You could lose yourself and search forever, looking for the person that you'll never be. Breathe in, try to compensate, time to learn from our mistakes. Maybe one day we'll fit back together. I'll pick up the pieces and we'll rearrange. Now we need to follow fate. Now we look beyond the way. Already off the bat, the songwriting is very, very emotionally charged. And I find this song, especially with the way she sort of blends her very beautiful bird-like voice. I think she's very aptly nicknamed. She has this rich, higher soprano voice that really really cuts through, you know, all of the instrumentation that surrounds it. And although this song, I feel like the production does swell up a little larger than some of the other songs where the production is a little bit more stripped back, this song still makes her voice an instrument in a beautiful sort of synthetic way. And so it feels unique and like kind of like nothing you've ever heard before, mainly because of the Eastern flair that's carried through in the melody and in the use of the gong and the traditional Japanese vocalizations. Then we come to Shadow. This song really grabbed me and it just wouldn't let me go. I was haunted by this song for quite some time. And of course, the theme of this song is about someone feeling haunted by a past relationship. Wherever you go, I will be your shadow. That, you know, I may be a vestige of something that once could have been that will haunt you forever, and we might haunt back and forth. This sort of melancholic, this sort of obsessive love that can form, this deep need to be constantly with someone. And so Birdie's expressing this sort of love that I think I can relate to for sure, when you kind of feel like so much for someone, but you maybe feel the distance and, you know, they're not necessarily giving you back what you want. You kind of let them know, I'm imagining myself with you all of the time. You know, I'm sort of following you in my heart. And I'm there when you wake and when you fall asleep. And also, it could be emotional love song for someone who actually is receiving that love, saying, I'm going to be with you forever, you know, even after we leave this earth. The way it blends the beautiful piano melodies that she weaves in and out of this production is something that is really unique and something I'd really like to see more singers implement. The production is understated, but just enough to blend and let the piano really pierce through like her voice does as well. Everything is so smooth. And then there's these operatic moments where, you know, she's able to reach these amazingly beautiful, haunting high notes. I was just like, this is a classically trained musician who's bridged the gap between, you know, a pop song and classically inspired, you know, arias and things like that. There's all of these elements blended together, and this song brings that about in the best way. I will always have a soft spot for this song. It's really hard to explain the emotional reaction that I had to all of these songs, but most of them were very visceral. They cut right through me, and I think that that is showcasing how Birdie is so talented at songwriting and composition. She's really crafting melodies and lyrics that always feel cohesive and blend together beautifully and give you this emotional response that you're supposed to have. Keeping Your Head Up is one of the most upbeat songs on the album, and I think it's very beautifully chosen for a first single. The imagery totally screams Florence and the Machine, especially from her ceremonials era, and I have no problem with that. I think Birdie's just paying homage to sort of these more kind of powerful, a little bit sort of witchy women who were just so beautiful and brazen in their powerful voices that they just wanted to inspire and make the kind of art that they wanted to make. Everything about this music video is very artfully composed, and the song is very sweeping and uplifting. Of course, the motivation of keep trying, keep going, I'll be there beside you. It may sound a little bit more of a generalized sort of theme, but it feels so sincere coming from Birdie just because you've heard the songs already and the sort of depth of her lyrics. It doesn't just feel like it's sort of chasing a general sort of theme that you'd see in a lot of pop songs. It feels so sincere. The next song, Deep End, is the first song where we really get to hear just her at the piano on this album. Boy, are there a few artists who really just are meant to be at the piano. I think Birdie's strongest suit is her ability to craft these very refined, hushed melodies with a beautiful sort of soft piano in the background. There's almost a feeling of it being recorded outdoors. I noticed that on a lot of these tracks because there's a bit of an atmosphere to it. The notes of the keyboards sort of echo just enough to sort of fill the room in sort of a unique way and give you this feeling of being enveloped in the sound. And her, of course, subtle and soft way of singing, and it's never forced. It's never too harsh. I don't, you know, she's never going to be a singer who's going to belt or who's going to have a growl to her voice. And you know what? I'm not as into singers like that. They're amazingly talented, but I like the more hushed and refined singers. They're still so beautiful. This song, through the lyrics, speaks about a point in a relationship where you're afraid if you've gone too far. You know, there's this trepidation about who should say what first, who's the first to say, I love you. This is new territory. I can sense that, you know, Birdy, as being a young adult, is sort of discovering what all these emotions about relationships are like, and this sort of fear of doing the wrong thing. She sings, I don't want to go off the deep end, but I don't want to lose you. I need to move somewhere, but I don't want to stay still and I don't want to move too far. It's that intricate balance that makes the fragility of that relationship. And you know, the fragility of how she performs these songs matches that so beautifully. Can we just pretend at least that we're, you know, that everything is going to be okay? Let's not worry too much about the future. Let's not worry if we're going too far. Let's just channel each other's emotions and understand that we're communicating well and just see where this goes. Wild Horses. This is the second official like music video single from this album. Keeping in the same sort of more uplifting vein of keeping your head up, this song again has upbeat production. This song feels so motivational. I will survive and be the one who's stronger. I will not beg you to stay. I will move on and you should know I mean it. It's her being steadfast in her emotions and realizing that she's not going to let them get the better of her. She's going to be as strong as she can be. There's an angel and he's shaped like you, and I thought I knew him. There's a window and it's dark inside, but the light was in it. This can't be love if it hurts so much. I need to let go. I mean, again, if she's giving so much and not getting anything back, that cannot be what love truly is. And so that exploration of, again, just realizing emotions are so much more vast and complicated and layered. You hear that exploration in these songs. And again, it's that motivational beat keeping the tempo of the song in a sort of more lighter area, but it doesn't, you know, necessarily contradict itself. Nothing feels contradictory. It's just this unique blend that really works. You know, Wild Horses and Keeping Your Head Up are a little bit more generic in terms of their composition and production. I will grant them that. But they're still really strong songs that, I mean, again, her voice is made for those sort of pop melodies. She definitely can carry a pop tune easily. And she does this thing where she can just lilt her voice in these ooh sounds. And I think it's one of the most beautiful things that she does. And she does that on this song and another song, Lifted, later in the album that I absolutely love. And those vocalizations just add so much flavor to the way she delivers these melodies. Lost It All is another, you know, mournful, sort of reflecting piano ballad. Oh, if this is what dreams are made of, I think I've seen enough. I've given you all of my love, but it's still not enough. The bitterness of this song kind of reflects on that sort of feeling of, this is not as good as I once dreamed it could be. You can't get too down about this. And although this is one of the more depressing songs on the album, again, I don't find it without any hope. That her voice just always, I think, speaks of hope. She can't make her voice sound that morose or that, you know, it's just not in the nature of these more shimmery and gossamer melodies that soar above. And again, keeping in that theme, Silhouette kind of builds off of Lost It All, but it adds a little bit more atmosphere and production. And for that, I find it a lot more memorable. And it sort of opens this up to not just a relationship, but any sort of tribulation in life where you feel as though someone was trying to make you feel not good enough, or you told yourself all this time that you were not good enough. And the bittersweet of every new defeat is I'm stronger than before, maybe on my knees, but I still believe these broken wings will soar. Untie my silhouette, it's all that is left of a broken heart. Leave all of my regrets to sink like shipwrecks through oceans dark. Let's take all of this darkness, all of this heartbreak, and cast it aside and rise above it. Let it sink into the dark ocean. I think it's just one of the most cathartic, emotionally charged songs on this record. I can't help but feel so much emotion when I hear this and think about these moments where you really do feel like everything could break you, and you just realize you need to stand above and realize you're stronger, and you have to think more positively. So the darker sort of silhouette that was once something you were can be cast aside, and you can rise above that. And, you know, again, keeping in the theme of the song Shadow as well, there's this moving beyond your demons that holds you back. So then the light comes in on this album. Things get more upbeat and lighter and lifted. if you can feel this tone change, and it's so needed at this point in the record. There is, again, the most beautiful vocalization effect that she uses to sort of match the sort of playful melody and production of this song. It's one of my favorites because of that, and it's grown on me so much upon first listening. When she sings "You Gave Me Hope," the way her voice can just roller coaster through all these different notes so beautifully. It punctuates each end of the verse really well. She always ends, her verses with vocal acrobatics, and that's just always keeps you engaged. It never makes things feel stale. Show me the way to a brighter place. Keep my eyes from closing. That line, keep my eyes from closing, it's always stuck with me ever since I've heard this song. It's sort of this mantra that I kind of want to live by now. It's like when you get so depressed and you just want to close your eyes and sleep forever, whether it's metaphorically or literally, you want life to inspire and lift you up. And sometimes most of that heavy lifting has to be done yourself with your own thoughts. So internally, you need to live in a way that wants to make you keep your eyes open. And that can be, again, literally or figuratively, probably both. Because I definitely have a lot of trouble with the latter part, the literal part, I mean. So there's that call to action, call to positivity of this song. It's infectious. I guarantee you will not feel bad after listening to this song. It'll just lift your spirits. Take My Heart is one of the most mysterious songs. The production is most abstract from all the others, which have a little bit more of a simplistic, but yet blended with classically inspired, sort of motifs. This one sort of atmospherically sweeps you up in this sort of haunting minor key, basically like a lament. This is a very mournful, the album goes high and low, and I think it smoothly transitions you through all of these emotions. Now it's this feeling of, remorse and regret and letting someone in to just completely wreck you inside and break you. And you feel so cold now. That's when you need the following song, Hear You Calling. This song has also had a lasting impact on me, mainly because of the sound and one of the key lyrics of this song that keeps it so fresh and interesting. The piano that carries the backing production of this song is so uplifting and so well composed. I don't really know how else to describe it. This is one of the few times where she vocally manipulates her voice with the use of autotune, and I think it serves it perfectly because it adds that bounciness to the backing that helps the carry and let you realize her voice is so, liquid, and beautifully illustrates that. Oh, my beautiful summer, how the winter makes me wonder where you've gone. Every night when the sun goes down and I'm left in this lonely town, I hear you calling me. I remember this song came out right at the end of winter of 2016, and winters are always really hard for me. And this was the perfect sort of awakening to spring kind of song, even though this song speaks about the beautiful days of summer, but also wanting them during the cold, dark winters. This is sort of this yearning for that greenery, that beautiful, carefree day. You could be reflecting on past summers, maybe summers of her childhood, where she ran carefree with her friends and family. There's all of this element of reflection and nostalgia to those more sunny, warm days. And at the same time, it's not a lamenting song by any means. It's an ode to that. It's just as upbeat as you would expect a summer day to be. It fills you with sunshine, It reminds me of a song, Pocketful of Sunshine by Natasha Bedingfield. These kinds of songs came out, I remember, when I was like really in the doldrums from winter. And there's something about songs like these that just feel like spring or summer, or the onset of that. And there's sort of attitude shift when you suddenly see flowers, and no one can beat that amazing feeling when it's finally warmer outside and you don't need all those layers and you just feel like so much lighter. I mean, it's one of the most amazing feelings. And this song will always be like my favorite song to listen to around the like late March, April, May period, when, you just suddenly have all this energy again. You just want to run through the fields, with the energy of this song. And again, it reminds me a bit of Pocketful of Sunshine. And I love that song. It's such a, again, bouncy kind of airy song that fits the aesthetic of spring and summer and the colors of it. It feels warm. Words is the next song, and it was also kind of the final single released from this album. It's more understated, it's more classically inspired. And again, as this is a similar territory we're coming to, it's this moment of breakdown in a relationship. I don't blame Birdy for a lot of her songs being about heartbreak because, I mean, come on, when you're young and that's all you've suddenly newly experienced, that's all that's going to fuel your songwriting. So many of these songs are very kind of darkly inspired and they're mournful about a relationship that's breaking. Is this the end? Is this their last goodbye? Um, who's going to say that word? Who's going to say goodbye first? And there's this caution and there's this confusion, of what do I say? I need you here, but I don't know if I should ask you to come over. I need you next to me, but I don't know what words to say. Please say them for me. There's all of these when you're so emotionally fragile and confused, you kind of just want to shut down and you don't know what to do. And so Birdie's kind of letting all of this out like a diary and airing out all of this sort of confusion from her emotions into these very beautifully well written, classically inspired piano pop songs. Save Yourself is another song that harkens back to the Eastern feel of this album and theme of it. There's this very beautiful sort of production effect that kind of does mimic, again, sort of a more Eastern melody and sound. And that sort of carries the melody of the rest of her singing. Love shouldn't cost a thing. Tell me why I'm paying for everything. Pretending it's fine. That line really got me. It's like, yeah, it shouldn't be like this. It should be a more free exchange. It shouldn't have to feel so much like a burden or so much like I'm giving and giving and not receiving anything back. And I don't know you anymore. I don't know us anymore. So I need to find that again. I need to save myself. I need to find who I am, freed from all of this heartbreak and realize I need to love myself unconditionally. She even says, kill the love that's dying. I see this as her singing about herself. I don't necessarily see this where she's saying, save yourself, my darling, just be gone by morning. I see her singing more towards the sort of inner parts of herself that are so bogged down by the heartbreak. I see it as it's more internally reflecting and sort of casting out the demons and saying, be gone by morning, kill the love that was already dead to begin with, move on, fill your heart again with love for yourself, move forward. And so even though this is such a melancholic sound and song, okay, I don't know, Unbroken, what do I say about this song? I instantly fell in love. From the very first minute of this MP3 file, I was just completely swept away, and very few songs really bring tears to my eyes upon first listen. Very, very few songs. And this song is like one of the main reasons why I wanted to review this album. I mean, it is the most beautiful piano ballad that I have heard in years. At least, definitely, like one of the most beautiful sort of piano ballad like songs from 2016. I can definitely say that. One of my favorite songs of 2016. This melody, but also the lyrics. But I think the melody was what haunted me more, and the way she just gracefully plays the piano, the way it sort of slowly fades in, and you really do feel as though you're sort of in a daydream. You're in this sort of shimmery garden, and she's playing this, and it's sort of warm, and yet you feel so down, and you need to, emotionally cry out all of your feelings at the piano. Whenever I hear this song, I just remember all that I've been through in relationships. It sort of all kind of comes before my eyes, and that arresting sort of emotion and melancholy is something that few songs can fully do for me. And this song just checks every single box. So I'd be really curious to know what anyone has to say in the comments about their impact with this song, because I'm saying this song changed me. Could you keep your head up when you're losing ground? Everything you once loved, like your own blood, comes crumbling down. Sometimes the tears we cry are more than any heart can take. We hurt, just keep it inside. Small wonder that it starts to break. Many moons will lighten the way, and sure this night will follow a day, and everything you once loved remains unbroken. The cycle of time healing everything. This song is so wise. I don't really, how else to sort of summarize it by just saying, there's this taking yourself out of your, emotional, fragile state and sort of realizing and reflecting on all that you have learned. it's a hard lesson, all of this heartbreak and all of this sorrow that you may experience in life. All of these lessons hurt so much, but you're still here. You're still breathing, you know? You've learned. These are all lessons that are making you a bigger and stronger person. So please keep your head up. You know, do not lose hope that, you know, tomorrow will be a better day, you know, and sure, this night will follow day, just as many moons will continually light your way. I just always loved that lyric. It just spoke to me so, because I always get most emotional at night, and I definitely believe that the moon has a lot to do with that, especially when there's a moonlit night. I just can't help but feel this emotional response to it and this melancholy, and this song embodies that in MP3 file. It's just, I will always listen to this song 50 years from now when I'm like 80 years old and I'm just like, oh, I remember that song Unbroken by Birdy. Put it on. Like, I'm just gonna want to hear it because it'll just help me feel so calm and, you know, pensive, but not necessarily in a depressing way. Don't get me wrong, it's not a lighter song. It has a bit of depressive undertones, but only someone I think who's kind of been depressed or gone through some really sorrowful experiences will really get that sort of response to this sort of song. Also, anyone who loves just traditional piano music, because Birdie's a brilliant pianist, and I think her compositions are just, bar none, just absolutely phenomenal. And again, those oohs that she does with her voice are soft and sweet as ever in this song. And it cuts you right through the heart. The final song on this album is Beautiful Lies. It does carry the title of this song. It's a really short sort of outro, I think, to this album. Again, done sung at the piano. I think it summarizes the theme and message of this album beautifully. Even though it's actually kind of dark in its lyricism, it's basically expressing that need to move on and to become a little bit more numb. But at the same time, I interpret that as being more strong. You know, she sings, just pretend we're better. Let's just save it while we can. Let's make the most of every moment. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's not get too wrapped up in everything. Just tell me beautiful lies. Just let me feel. And I think, again, it could be her just speaking to herself in a way, or at least that's how I interpret it. As, you know, sometimes it may feel like a beautiful lie to tell yourself that everything is going to be okay when it does not feel that way whatsoever. When you're depressed, anything that you do to try and calm or make you reassured feels like a lie. But you have to believe it. And then it suddenly becomes the truth. And that's the trickiest part. And I don't necessarily see this album as resolving all of this darkness. I think it's a darker themed record, and it's a very sorrowful record, even though it has its upbeat moments. And I, again, think it will be more attractive to people who are highly emotional. I think Birdy is a highly emotional individual, and listening to her previous stuff, I had no clue that this was what she was going to come with. It was one of the most surprising, amazing releases of 2016 for me, because I just did not know it was coming and did not expect it. And it blew me away. I mean, I have nothing else to say besides, I hope I did it justice by reviewing this record. It's really worth a listen if anyone is not familiar with Birdy. If you like artists like Florence and the Machine, Lana Del Rey, if you like Norwegian singer Aurora, if you like Melanie Martinez, if you like Sarah McLachlan, if you like Evanescence, I think this is going to be up your alley. And or even just classical music in general, you know, piano music and stuff. I think this will really speak to you, because it's a beautiful, you know, what I consider almost her first record, because this is her first album that I really feel like has Birdy's personality imbued into it. And like I said, the album cover perfectly fits the mood that this album completely encapsulates. So let me know in the comments what you thought of this record. I think it's just definitely such an underrated, beautiful classic, one that I'm going to be thinking about years and years from now. And I'm really excited to see where Birdy goes forward, and just seeing her expound and build upon her songwriting craft and her compositional craft, because I see big things for her. She's so young and so talented. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next review. Always peace, love, and light. Bye.